All right, welcome back to Beyond the Known.
It's great to be back.
And today's episode is going to be, well, today's deep dive, rather, is going to be really exciting.
Oh, I know. I am pumped for this one.
Because we are talking about a place shrouded in mystery and intrigue.
A place that has captured the imaginations of explorers, scientists, conspiracy theorists, you name it.
Antarctica.
That's right, the bottom of the world.
A vast, icy wilderness holding secrets beneath its frozen surface.
And secrets that we're going to try to get to the bottom of today.
Absolutely. And, I've been digging through the research that you sent us.
Oh, yeah.
And, wow.
What did you think?
There's some really wild stuff out there.
Oh, I know, right?
Like some of these theories are out there.
It really makes you question what we think we know about our planet.
Exactly. And it's not just theories we're talking about, but scientific discoveries too.
Oh, absolutely. This is about blending the hard science with the, with the more mysterious elements of Antarctica.
Yeah, we have scientific papers, we have YouTube videos, we have news articles.
It's a whole multimedia extravaganza.
Exactly. And the goal today is to kind of go on this deep dive together to sift through all of this information and try to piece together some of these mysteries and also look at what scientists are actually finding out about Antarctica.
Yeah, like a highlight reel of Antarctic mysteries and scientific breakthroughs all in one.
Exactly.
Yep.
So think of this as your express ticket to the heart of Antarctic knowledge.
Yeah.
Without having to go out there yourself and brave the the freezing temperatures and the treacherous conditions.
Yeah, let's face it, most of us would rather explore Antarctica from the comfort of our armchairs.
Absolutely. So let's buckle up and start our Antarctic adventure.
Okay, let's do it.
So where do we even begin with Antarctica? It's a whole continent covered in ice.
Well, one of the most fascinating aspects of Antarctica is what lies beneath that ice. And I'm not just talking about the land itself, but an entire network of liquid water.
Wait a minute, you're saying there's liquid water under all that ice?
Absolutely. We're talking about subglacial lakes, hundreds of them.
Hundreds of lakes. How is that even possible with all that ice on top?
It all comes down to pressure. The immense weight of the ice sheet actually lowers the freezing point of water, allowing it to remain liquid even at temperatures well below freezing.
It was like a giant natural pressure cooker.
Pretty much. And these aren't just tiny puddles either. We're talking massive bodies of water.
Okay, give me an example. Just how big are we talking?
Well, take Lake Vostok, for instance. It's one of the largest subglacial lakes in Antarctica, comparable in size to Lake Ontario.
Lake Ontario. That's huge.
I know, right? And it's buried under about 2.5 miles of ice.
Wow. That's incredible. And this lake has been sealed off from the outside world for how long?
Potentially millions of years.
Millions of years. So what does that mean for life down there?
Well, that's the really exciting part. These subglacial lakes could harbor unique ecosystems with organisms completely isolated from the rest of the world.
That's fascinating. So we're talking about life that has evolved in total darkness and under extreme pressure.
Exactly. And that raises so many questions. What kind of organisms could survive down there? How do they get their energy? What does their DNA look like?
Yeah, it's like discovering another planet right here on Earth.
Exactly. And scientists are working hard to figure out how to explore these lakes without contaminating them.
That makes sense. We wouldn't want to introduce any foreign organisms into these pristine environments.
Absolutely. We have to be extremely cautious with how we explore these hidden worlds.
So subglacial lakes, ancient water, sealed off for millions of years. Incredible. And speaking of water in unexpected places, there's also the phenomenon of blood falls, right?
Ah, yes. Blood falls is one of the most visually striking features in Antarctica.
I've seen pictures, and it really does look like the glacier is bleeding.
Yeah, it's this bright red liquid that flows out of the Taylor Glacier, staining the surrounding ice.
Okay, so it's not actual blood, right? What is it?
So it's actually iron-rich salt water.
Salt water, but where does the red color come from?
It comes from the oxidation of the iron. When it's exposed to air, it rusts.
Oh, I see. So it's basically rusty salt water.
Essentially. And what's even more interesting is the source of this salt water.
Where does it come from?
It comes from a subglacial lake that's been trapped beneath the glacier for possibly millions of years.
Another ancient body of water. So what's so special about this salt water?
Well, it's incredibly salty, much saltier than regular seawater. And it's teeming with microbes that can survive in this extreme environment.
So it's not just a geological oddity, but also a potential hotbed for unique life forms.
Exactly. And the fact that this water has been isolated for so long makes it a fascinating window into the past.
Okay, so we've got these ancient subglacial lakes and blood falls, But you know what really blew my mind when I was looking at the research you sent was the discovery of ancient DNA.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge one.
I mean, we're talking about DNA that's over 1 million years old.
And that's the oldest marine DNA ever recovered by far.
And it was found where on the seafloor?
Yeah, it was extracted from sediment cores taken from the Scotia Sea, which is near Antarctica.
So what does this ancient DNA tell us?
It gives us a snapshot of the marine life that existed in that region 1 million years ago.
And what kind of organisms are we talking about?
Primarily tiny organisms like diatoms, which are a type of algae.
Okay, so microscopic life, but still 1 million years old. That's incredible.
It is, and what's really remarkable is that the DNA was so well preserved thanks to the frigid conditions and the slow sedimentation rates in Antarctica.
So it's like a time capsule of genetic information frozen in time.
Exactly, and this discovery has opened up a whole new avenue for understanding past ecosystems and how they've changed over time.
And speaking of fascinating discoveries beneath the ice, I was also reading about this discovery of a whole community of creatures under the Larsen ice shelf.
Oh, yes, the amphipods.
Amphipods, what are those?
They're tiny crustaceans, kind of like little shrimp.
And they were found living where exactly?
Underneath the Larsen ice shelf, which is a massive floating platform of ice.
So how did scientists even find them?
They were drilling down through the ice to study the ocean below.
Okay, and what was so surprising about finding these amphipods?
Well, it was previously thought that very little life could exist in these dark and extremely cold environments beneath the ice shelves.
So this discovery kind of challenges those assumptions.
Exactly. It shows that life can find a way even in the most extreme conditions.
And do we know anything about these amphipods? Like, are they a known species?
Some of them appear to be new to science, which is always exciting.
That's amazing. A new species discovered in such an unexpected place. And speaking of creatures that live in the depths of the Southern Ocean, I have to ask about the colossal squid.
Ah, the colossal squid, the stuff of legends.
It sounds terrifying.
Well, they are pretty big.
How big are we talking?
The largest one ever recorded was about 46 feet long.
46 feet, that's longer than a school bus.
Yeah, they are truly massive creatures.
And they live where in the deepest parts of the ocean?
Primarily in the Southern Ocean around Antarctica.
Okay, but they're pretty elusive, right? Like, we don't know that much about them.
That's right. They are rarely seen alive. Most of what we know comes from dead specimens that have washed ashore or been caught in fishing nets.
So there's still a lot of mystery surrounding them.
Oh, absolutely. They're like the giant pandas of the deep.
Okay, so we've talked about subglacial lakes, blood falls, ancient DNA, new species of amphipod and the colossal squid, and that's just the life in Antarctica.
Right. We haven't even touched on the strange and mysterious phenomena.
Yeah, there's a whole other side to Antarctica, the side that makes you question everything you thought you knew.
The side that keeps conspiracy theorists up at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that really caught my attention was this idea of singing ice.
The Ross Ice Shelf.
Yeah, the Ross Ice Shelf. Supposedly, it makes these eerie humming noises.
It does. It's pretty wild.
How is that even possible? Is it like the wind blowing across the ice or something?
It is the wind interacts with the surface of the ice shelf, creating vibrations.
But these vibrations are too low for us to hear, right?
That's right. But scientists have recorded these vibrations, and when you speed them up, they sound like a sort of ghostly hum.
Wow, so it's like the ice shelf is singing its own strange song.
And this singing can actually tell scientists a lot about the structure and stability of the ice shelf.
That's fascinating. So it's not just a cool sound effect. It actually has scientific value.
Absolutely. And then there's the phenomenon of broken compasses near the South Pole.
Broken compasses. What do you mean by that?
Well, as you get closer to the South Pole, magnetic compasses start to behave erratically.
Why is that?
It's because the Earth's magnetic field lines converge at the magnetic poles. So the horizontal component of the magnetic field, which is what compasses rely on, becomes very weak.
Oh, I see. So it's not that the compasses are broken. It's just that the magnetic field is acting differently.
Exactly. And this is something that explorers have known about for a long time.
But I bet it's led to some interesting theories over the years.
Oh, for sure. Some people believe it's evidence of a hidden portal or a secret government base.
Of course they do. God, love those conspiracy theories. And speaking of things that are huge and mysterious, what about this massive iceberg, A76A?
Ah, yes, the behemoth of icebergs.
It's the largest iceberg in the world right now, isn't it?
That's right. It broke off from the Ron Ice Shelf in 2021.
And it's massive. How big is it?
Well, when it first broke off, it was about 1,668 square miles.
Square miles. That's bigger than some countries.
I know, right? And it's been slowly drifting northward ever since.
So what happens to an iceberg that big? Does it just melt away eventually?
Eventually, yes, but it can take years or even decades for such a large iceberg to completely melt.
And as it melts, does it pose any dangers to ships or anything?
It can, especially if it breaks up into smaller pieces, which can be harder to detect.
So A76A, a giant reminder of the power of nature.
And a harbinger of things to come as the climate continues to warm.
Yeah, that's a sobering thought. And while we're on the topic of strange things in Antarctica, there was this image that went viral a while back showing what looked like a UFO buried in the snow.
Ah, yes, the Antarctica UFO.
Did they ever figure out what that was?
Well, officially, it's been explained as a natural feature, probably a crevasse that's been filled with snow.
A crevasse? But it looked so symmetrical and smooth in the picture.
I know, right? It definitely sparked a lot of imaginations.
So what are the chances it really was a UFO?
Well, let's just say I'm not ruling anything out.
Okay, fair enough. And then there's the pyramid-shaped structure that people have spotted in satellite images.
The Antarctica pyramid.
Yeah, is that another natural formation, or is there something more to it?
Well, the mainstream explanation is that it's a nunatak, which is a mountain peak that's poking up through the ice sheet. And over time, the wind and snow have eroded the peak, giving it a pyramid-like shape.
But some people believe it's an ancient structure built by a lost civilization.
Or even aliens.
Of course. But do those theories hold any water?
Well, there's no real evidence to support them, just the shape of the mountain.
So, for now, we'll have to stick with the Nunatak explanation.
Unless some intrepid explorer decides to go investigate it firsthand.
Right, and then there's the Wilkes Land gravity anomaly, which sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does sound pretty dramatic, doesn't it?
So what is it exactly?
It's a massive area in Wilkes Land, East Antarctica, where the gravity is significantly lower than it should be.
Lower gravity, what does that mean?
It means there's something massive buried beneath the ice. Something with less density than the surrounding rock.
Okay, so what could it be?
The leading theory is that it's a giant impact crater formed by an asteroid or comet.
An impact crater? How big are we talking?
Estimates suggest it could be over 300 miles in diameter.
300 miles? That's huge.
It would be one of the largest impact craters on Earth.
So if it is an impact crater, when did it happen?
It's thought to have occurred around 250 million years ago.
Wow, so this impact could have had a major impact on life on Earth.
It's possible some scientists believe it could have contributed to the Permian-Triassic extinction event, which wiped out around 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species.
That's a pretty significant extinction event.
It was one of the most severe mass extinctions in Earth's history.
So this gravity anomaly, a potential window into a cataclysmic event from millions of years ago.
And it's a reminder that Earth has a long and violent history.
And finally, in this section, there's the Antarctica mystery hole.
The Maud-Rise Polynya.
Yeah, what is a polynya anyway?
It's an area of open water surrounded by sea ice.
Okay, and this particular polynya, why is it a mystery?
Well, it appears and disappears seemingly at random, and scientists haven't been able to fully explain why.
So where is it located?
In the Weddell Sea off the coast of Antarctica.
And how big does it get?
It can vary in size, but it's been known to grow larger than the Netherlands.
Wow, that's a pretty big hole in the ice.
Yeah, and it can stay open for weeks or even months at a time.
So what are some of the theories about why it forms?
Some scientists believe it's caused by warm water upwelling from the depths of the ocean, while others think it's related to winds and ocean currents.
So it's still a bit of a puzzle.
It is, but it's a puzzle that scientists are working hard to solve.
Okay, so we've covered some of the strange and mysterious phenomena of Antarctica. But I know you also wanted to talk about the historical aspects of Antarctica.
Yeah, because Antarctica has a surprisingly rich history.
I mean, it wasn't even discovered until the 19th century, right?
That's right, but even before that, there were hints and rumors of a landmass at the bottom of the world.
And one of the most intriguing pieces of evidence that you sent me was this ancient map.
The Piri Reis map?
Yeah, it's this Turkish map from the 16th century, and it supposedly shows Antarctica.
And not just any Antarctica, but an ice-free Antarctica.
Wait a minute, you're saying this map shows Antarctica as it would have looked millions of years ago?
That's the claim, and it's incredibly accurate, too. It shows coastlines and mountain ranges that match modern maps.
But how is that possible? How could they have known what Antarctica looked like without ice?
That's the big mystery. Some people believe it's evidence of an advanced ancient civilization that had the technology to map the world.
Or maybe they had access to even older maps that were passed down from a time when Antarctica was ice-free.
That's another possibility. But either way, it's a fascinating piece of history.
Absolutely, a map that challenges our understanding of the past. And speaking of things that are remarkably well preserved in Antarctica, what about that fruitcake?
Oh, yes, the legendary fruitcake.
100-year-old fruitcake that was found in an abandoned explorer's hut.
And it was still edible, supposedly.
Really? So they could have eaten it.
Well, they chose not to, but it was in remarkably good condition.
I guess the Antarctic climate is a pretty good preservative.
It is. The cold and dry air really slows down the decomposition process.
So what kind of fruitcake was it?
It was a traditional British fruitcake made with dried fruits and nuts.
It's amazing to think that a simple fruitcake could survive for a century in such a harsh environment.
And it's a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the early explorers.
And it's not just fruitcakes that have been found in these abandoned huts. Scientists have also discovered some interesting things about the fungi that live there.
Oh, yes, the Antarctic fungi.
What's so special about them?
Well, they've adapted to survive in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. They can tolerate freezing temperatures, high levels of UV radiation, and low nutrient availability.
So they're pretty tough.
They are, and some of these fungi have even been found growing on things like abandoned fuel drums.
Fuel drums, so they're eating pollution.
Essentially, some species have evolved the ability to break down hydrocarbons, which are the main components of fossil fuels.
So they could potentially be used to clean up contaminated sites.
That's right. Scientists are studying these fungi to see if they could be used for bioremediation.
That's incredible nature, finding a way to remediate our messes.
It's a reminder that even in the harshest environments, life finds a way.
Okay, so we've talked about the mysteries and the history of Antarctica, but what about the present and the future?
Well, Antarctica is a place of ongoing scientific research.
Like what kind of research?
Well, there's climate change research for one thing.
Right, because Antarctica is ground zero for climate change, isn't it?
It is. The melting ice sheets and glaciers are contributing to rising sea levels. And the changes in the Antarctic ecosystem are having ripple effects throughout the world.
So scientists are studying these changes, trying to understand what's happening and what the future holds.
Exactly. And they're also using Antarctica to study things like astrophysics and astronomy.
Astrophysics and astronomy in Antarctica, how so?
Well, the dry, clear air and the lack of light pollution make Antarctica an ideal place to observe the stars.
I see. So they're building telescopes and observatories down there.
They are, and they're also using Antarctica to study neutrinos.
Neutrinos, what are those?
They're tiny subatomic particles that are very difficult to detect.
And how do they study them in Antarctica?
They've built a massive detector called IceCube, which is buried deep in the ice.
So Antarctica is like a giant natural laboratory.
It is, and it's a place where scientists can make groundbreaking discoveries that could benefit all of humanity.
And it's also a place that reminds us of the power and the fragility of our planet.
Absolutely. We need to do everything we can to protect this unique and irreplaceable environment.
All right, so we've talked about hidden lakes, strange creatures, ancient maps, unexplained phenomena, and the future of scientific research in Antarctica.
We've barely scratched the surface.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There's so much more to learn and discover about this incredible continent.
And as the ice continues to melt, who knows what other secrets will be revealed?
And that's what makes Antarctica so captivating, the mystery,
Yeah.
the unknown, the sense of adventure.
It's a place that challenges our assumptions and expands our understanding of what's possible.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. What other secrets do you think are hidden beneath the ice?
And what will those secrets teach us about our planet, our past, and maybe even our future?
That's all for this episode of Beyond the Known. Thanks for joining us on this Antarctic adventure.
Until next time, keep exploring.